All right, we're back again for another version of Government with Mr. S. We're talking about our English heritage and Enlightenment influences. Today we will explain and analyze the impact of English documents and the Enlightenment philosophers on the founding of our government, so I can develop a better understanding of our constitutional government. I know I have it when I can answer practice and exit questions with an accuracy of 80% or higher. All right, let's get started. So let's look at this one. Who's who in an Athenian democracy? All right, what kind of people can vote in an Athenian democracy? Could not vote, sorry. All right, I want you to pause it now. Write your answers down. All right. If you answered voters, children, children, foreigners, women, and slaves, that's who couldn't vote. The only people that could vote were voters, only making up 5%. Remember, Athens was a direct democracy. All right, what document stated our desire to be free of Great Britain? If you answered the Declaration of Independence, you would be correct. All right, so what we're talking about today, we're building the foundation. If you imagine the Constitution, the country we live in, our system of government is our house, the house we live in. Today we built the foundation with those fundamental principles, the individual worth and dignity, compromise, etc. Today we're looking at founding documents. That is the floor of our house. All right, so that's what we're building today. We're building the floor. We built the foundation, now we're going to build the floor. And so it begins. The United States and Virginia constitutional systems of government were incorporated with ideas from the Magna Carta, the English Petition of Rights, and the English Bill of Rights. All right, so to set up our entire way of life here in America, we're going to go all the way back to 1215. We're talking the days of Robin Hood and his merry men running through Sherwood Forest, robbing from the rich to give to the poor. Okay? There's a king in that time, King John, and he was a jackwagon. Okay? He oppressively taxed, starved his people, threw them in jail for no reason. And the barons, the nobles, they didn't like it. So ultimately what they did is in 1215, they called him to Runnymede, and they held a sword to his throat and said, look, we ain't going to take this crap anymore. Either you're going to buck up and follow what we want to do and what's best for the people, or, well, you're dead. Simple as that. So what we see with the signing of the Magna Carta is a shift from absolute monarchy in England to constitutional monarchy. All right? Long and short of it, the Magna Carta was a list of rules that King John was going to follow. And what it gave to us from, if you look at it, how it impacted us, limited government, fundamental rights, trial by jury, and due process of law. All right, what I want you to do is pause this video. And some very fundamental principles in our government, like consent of the governed, that the people are the source of the government's power. I want you to read this, pause it, read it, and see how it shows consent of the governed. Again, the idea of rule of law, that every man, whether you're a king or you are a poor peasant, everyone has to follow the law. Read this, pause it, embrace it. Due process, another very fundamental principle in our country, that everyone is treated equally under the law. Pause it, read it, embrace it. The second document that really affects us from England is the English Petition of Right. Now, we have another abusive king, King Charles I, in 1628, who said, I believe strongly in that divine right theory. So you know what? Parliament screw y'all, I'm going to do what I want. And he ruled often without the consent of Parliament. Parliament said, whoa, back it up, buddy. We are going to limit your power. All right? Especially because he was abusing citizens. And this, once again, is another example of how our founding fathers were influenced by the importance of limiting power. That nobody should have absolute power. All right? The long and short of the English Petition of Rights is the idea of rule of law and individual rights. We took from this the idea of trial by jury, protection against martial law, that the king or the president can't roll the military out and take over, protection against the quartering of troops. You know, if they're sending troops out, they can't stick them in your house and let the troops take over your house and say, feed me, bathe me, clothe me, etc. And the English Petition of Right also protected private property. That you and I, the lowliest of the lowest, can have private property. The next one's the English Bill of Rights in 1689. All right, a lot of stuff's going on in England. We had the Stuarts were this really bad family. They took control of England, not really great people. Bottom line, King James II was deposed. Basically, he was thrown out, ran out of the country by the people in Parliament. And the throne was passed to a new family. We know this from Virginians being the College of William and Mary. That was, yes, you got it, King William and Queen Mary. All right? Parliament was attempting to rein in the power of the monarchy. Long and short of the English Bill of Rights, it limited the power of the monarch. They were not allowed to keep standing armies in peacetime. Free elections were required for Parliament. Citizens now had the right of petition, and parliamentary checks on power. We see this in our system today. Checks and balances, free election. All right, we're going to check you ahead. The Magna Carta, the English Petition of Right, and the English Bill of Rights all sought to A, increase the power of the British monarchs, B, decrease the power of Parliament, C, limit the power of the people, or D, limit the power of the monarchy and secure the basic rights of citizens. 3, 2, 1. If you said D, you are right. The whole idea behind these three documents, we see a check on executive power. All right, check your head again. Select all the characteristics that would serve as commonalities between the Magna Carta, the English Bill of Rights, and the English Petition of Rights. Limiting power of the king, free elections, regulating the army, protecting the rights of citizens, rule of law, and due process. All right, first and foremost, if you said limiting the power of the king, you're right. If you said protecting the rights of citizens, you're right. If you said rule of law, you're right. If you said due process, you're right. All right, take out the sheet. If you're listening to this on video, you got it here in your drive. Download it. All right, you're going to use your notes, and you're going to complete the following diagram. Now, if you're listening, there are a series of videos up on your agenda. Make sure you've watched those videos before you do this activity. Okay, so through all that, we've determined kings are bad, okay? Now what? You know, we got two cartoons right here. We got keep calm and overthrow the monarchy. And the king and queen sitting in jail going, look, if I had any idea what a constitution was, I'd never sign the darn thing, okay? Well, all right. So now we're going to limit the power of the monarchy. What does that mean? It means in our system of government, United States, we realized a long time ago when we kicked King George III out and said, we're not going to take this crap anymore, that we need to set up a new system of government. So we're going to talk about how our system of government came to be. And this talks about we're going to talk about now about the principle of government, that the things, those foundational ideas that our society is built on, based off of 3 political philosophers. Now, the 16th century was this time in the world where everybody got real smart, and we realized that things have got to change. And these guys who were uber smart said that this is how the way the world should be, and we took a lot of our stuff from there. All right, those 3 guys, John Locke, Thomas Hobbes, and Montesquieu. All right, these are the guys we're going to talk about. John Locke's the guy we're going to start with, all right? He had a profound impact on American government. He believed that all men are born in a state of nature equally. What that means is, if there was no government, and here we are born in, we're all equal little babies. My little baby butt and your little baby butt is no difference than a rich baby butt or whatever. We're all the same. Little babies, we're equal. Nobody's better than anybody else. All right? And in that state of nature, all of us are given 3 rights. The right to life, the right to liberty, and the right to get stuff. Pursue property, have possessions, make ourselves better. Now, Locke, back in the 1600s, he wrote 2 treatises on government. All right, these essays are everything our system of government is based off of. Literally, Thomas Jefferson, in the Declaration of Independence, literally plagiarized this guy with changing a couple words. It's like if I told you to write a paper on this, you went to Wikipedia, you copied and pasted. That is what Jefferson did from Locke. Bottom line, Locke believed if government becomes abusive, man has the right to abolish it. Where have we heard that before? Oh yeah, that's that social contract theory. All right? So Jefferson literally copy and pasted Locke and put it in the Declaration of Independence. So, we talk about the idea of natural rights, the things that God gives to every human being, whether you're a king or you are the poorest peasant. I want you to read the column on the left. That's from Locke. And I want you to read the column on the right, which is from Jefferson. The only reason Jefferson used the word happiness is because he wanted to clean up a little bit and make us not sound so selfish as human beings. Happiness means the right to stuff, property, power, money. You want to own stuff. Same thing. When it comes to the idea of the social contract, that we exist in a state of nature, we give up rights to have a government protect life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. All right? Here's Locke's take on it. Read it. Now here's Jefferson's take on it, what he put into the Declaration of Independence. Read it. It's almost the same thing. All right. The Declaration of Independence is not the only place John Locke had an influence. The founding principles that govern our society, the idea of limited government, that government cannot have all the power. All right? Locke called for government's power to be limited as not to abridge the rights of the people. Government cannot take away our right to life, liberty, and to own stuff. All right, so check it out in your notes. The idea of limited government. We see that in our country as the fact that we have 3 branches of government. One branch to make the laws, one branch to enforce the laws, and one branch to interpret the laws to make sure the other 2 aren't being crazy. So, John Locke's influence can be found in 3 documents. Declaration of Independence, the Constitution of Virginia, and the U.S. Constitution. The whole idea that government is not all powerful. Our current president can't do whatever he wants. He has to follow the Constitution. These are ideas that go back to 1690 with John Locke. The second idea that Locke had a hand in was the idea of consent of the governed. All right? Government is ruled by the permission of the people. All right? Locke's not the only guy that had this idea. We're going to talk about the other guy in here in a second. But in our country, we abide by consent of the governed. Consent means permission. Government means people. The people in our country, we give our consent for any leader, whether it's the mayor up to the president. We give it through voting. All right? We give this permission to them to govern us, to protect our right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness or property, whatever you want to say. We call this idea popular sovereignty, that the people have the right to rule. People equals power. In our country, yes, we have a representative democracy. Yes, it's indirect, but sovereignty comes from the people. You don't like your mayor, you vote him out. You don't like the president, 4 years from now, you vote him out. All right, so let's see. There are two guys that influence this idea of consent of the governed. Thomas Hobbes and John Locke. We find their work in the Declaration of Independence and the U.S. Constitution. Now, Hobbes, let me tell you, this cat was a downer. He believed by our very nature, once man falls from grace from the Garden of Eden, that we are all scumbags. We only want to look out for ourselves. We will kill people. We will take what we want. Blah, 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 blah. And that means other people are like freaked out and scared because the guy next door, he's bigger than me. He's taller. He's better looking. Oh my God, he's going to kill me. He's going to take my house, take my wife, kill my children, whatever, just so he can have what he wants. Yeah. Human beings are scumbags. We know this. Just watch Facebook. Just watch anytime the president posts something and how everybody wants to tear each other apart. Thomas Hobbes was right. People by their very nature are ugly. And we need a government to protect us. All right? Thomas's idea was that we are so scared that we're going to get killed. We will give up everything just to have protection. We will give our consent to someone higher than ourselves, aka the government, to keep us safe. Read these quotes. He said that the bottom line, if there's no government, our life is solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. We are going to kill each other to get what we want. Therefore, we enter a social contract. We give up absolute freedom just to have protection from the guy next door who may be bigger, who thinks my wife looks better than his. And he's going to kill me, take my woman, take my children, take my house. People are scum. That's what Hobbes believes. Locke, on the other hand, has a totally different view. He believes everybody in a state of nature, yes, we want to own property. We want to get rich. Everybody wants that right. But we're not about to kill everybody. However, to do so, we have to have a government over us. Through what Locke says. Now, where does this come from for us? Bottom line, Declaration of Independence. Thomas Jefferson wrote that to secure these rights, Governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. In other words, we agree as people to have government. The Constitution, we the people of the United States, blah, 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 do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America. And here in Virginia, it's laid out in the preamble of our Constitution. Check these sections out. Pause and read. Alright, so which basic principle allows each branch of government to restrict the other branches so no one can do everything? If you said limited government, you're right on. The phrase, we the people, demonstrates that. If you said G, the power comes from the people, you're right on. Alright, there's one other theorist that we have to come from. It's a French cat named Montesquieu. Montesquieu in the 1600s basically came up with the idea that the legislative and executive powers have to be separate. Otherwise, people are going to get abused. And you know what? Madison drew heavily from him when he was writing the first Virginia Constitution and the U.S. Constitution. All right? Bottom line, Montesquieu says we have to have separation of powers. We have to have a separate legislative, a separate executive, and a separate judicial. All right? That is the only way power cannot be corrupted. Check out what Montesquieu wrote. So what Montesquieu brings to the table is the idea of separation of powers. We have to have a divided government. Legislative, executive, and judicial. Check it out. Check ahead! Our founding fathers drew heavily from the writings of Locke, Jefferson, Hobbes, Madison, Locke, Hobbes, Montesquieu, Hobbes, Locke, Orwell, Strasbourg, because I'm that awesome. If you answered C, you'd be correct. John Locke's writings influenced much of our government. Choose all of the following which Locke influenced. If you said limited government, you're right. If you said consent of the governed, you're right. If you said natural rights, you're right. If you said social contract, you're right.